So while Suho's with the mining team, Biru says he can sense the presence of a monarch, and the rest of them start hearing sounds coming from deeper inside the cave. So what was that? But it's a bunch of the steel-fanged wolves walking down on. Now the miners can't fight at all, so they just gotta run. And bro's swinging with the pickaxe for his life, but it just catches it in his jaw and chomps it. Like bro should have just ran with everybody else. But Suho jumps in to save him and attacks it, saying, "I'll buy time for everybody, just get out of here." So he stays behind to take them on, and their names are orange so he can tell they're a little bit stronger. He's actually starting to grasp how the system works, and they should be similar in strength to the shit he fought before, so this won't be a problem. If I'm on my own, that is, as he side-eyes this guy. He's like, "Bro, you can run away too, but nah, yo, you're trying to help people. I won't run either." So alright, bet, help out when it gets dangerous. And he has the goblins protect him. And then he opens up his inventory, gotta pull out a dagger, and just springs right towards them and tearing them up as he flies through them. And the goblins are cheering him on. And after he killed one of them, arise, and he has it take out this one while he fights the other. Oh, young monarch, his highness has already gotten used to combat while using the shadow powers. He's just thinking about how to better utilize his skills and cheese the shadow extraction even more. But he does it again, arise. And I guess bro is just disappointed that he's not included because Suho's just completely focused on recruiting the wolves. But bro just got lost in the battle and forgot that his teacher was over here watching everything he was doing. Like, bro, you can control the dead? What the hell? And he doesn't really have a good way to explain it. He's just thinking he might have got a false rank on purpose. Like, it's no way you a E rank, bro. But then he gets another quest, and all it says is defeat the enemy. So he just looks into the darkest part of the cave as some footsteps start approaching, and his teacher immediately recognizes him as the lead member of the attack force that they came with. So he's going to ask him what the hell is going on, but clearly he's not who he thought he was, and he tries to take his head off. And if it wasn't for Jin Woo Jr. snatching the shit out his collar, bro would have died right here. And he tells the wolves to attack, so they all go in to jump him as he tries to carry bro to safety. Like, bro, damn, I gotta fight another hunter? And this time his name is Red, the Fang of Rakan's possessed. And I already experienced how strong somebody like that is. Abiru, you didn't mean that thing is like my father, right? But he says, nah, he just has the aura of one, but he's nowhere near a real one. But he's still not somebody you can defeat, not at your current level. So he pops open his inventory and summons like all of his daggers, saying, well, I need to become stronger if I want to see my parents. As the Fang Monarch cuts apart his wolves and goes to charge right for him, he just hits this pose and says, I'm gonna bust his ass. Does this not kind of look like a girl's pose, or am I tripping? Biru is just watching and glazing like the young monarch never backs down. And Biru says that he's weak, that his true form is a sword. If you cut off his arm, he'll lose his connection to the host, so he won't be able to move anymore. Suho goes in with some trickery and has the wolves jump him from every direction, try to snatch the sword away from him, and he's surprised that just by using mana, they keep regenerating. And these are the basics of the shadow soldiers, so how do you like their power? But then they all get their heads cut off. Suho looks at him like, what power? But come on, bro, it's just because your mana is still weak. Now the sword is still just giving off aura. Then he starts to talk. How can an insignificant creature like you wield the Shadow Monarch's power? He's like, oh shit, it talks. Biru said, I know you're not talking to the descendant of the Shadow Monarch like that. He's like, oh shit, the Shadow Monarch's bloodline? To think I'd meet you here. He calls him his nemesis as Suho throws this knife at him. He just knocks it out the way and roars as Suho's cocky ass is talking shit. So he starts breaking down his daggers and charging. He said, yeah, I expected you to be tough. Well, let me go ahead and do this. As he's just roaring in rage, Suho says, I'll beat you with sheer volume, and uses his ruler's authority on all of the daggers he pulled out his inventory. Bro's got a block in every single direction. Biru's watching like this is the same power he was using as a baby. Then the Fang Monarch starts to break through him, and bro is just ferocious, trying to take Suho's head off. He doesn't even swing the clash, he just breaks through the dagger. Again, this guy is ruthless. He's barely weaving, like if he keeps attacking like this, there's no way to dodge. But really all I gotta do is hit him once. He's like, bro, are you just gonna keep running? What are you, a coward? You hide not only behind the soldiers, but the Shadow Monarch as well. He's like, bro, I know you're not talking about my daddy. Even if he keeps talking shit, I have no confidence in getting closer. And if only I had more strength as he jumps away. It cuts to a flashback of Suho asking Biru about his powers, why they aren't fully restored if the restrictions have been lifted. But his powers were restricted when he was a baby. You just recovered the talent that you had at that time. You've never fully realized your powers, and if you did, you could fight the Eaterim right now. And the Shadow Realm and dungeons aren't dreams or reality. It's just a test to determine whether you can handle your talent. wait a minute, it really is just a game? He's explaining that it may not be real, but the experiences aren't meaningless. Just remember the fighting spirit and senses you had. As it cuts back to him dipping and dodging, trying to come up with a new method to win. After thinking about how Beru can change forms, he says arise and calls for his wolf. The Fang Monarch is just barreling towards him, and whatever bullshit tricks you got aren't gonna work. As he goes to just hack him down the middle, Suho like blends his hand into the wolf. As bro tries to slice him down the middle, he's just confused at what he's looking at. Suho used the shadow wolves as armor. Now he's got a steel fanged gauntlet. Oh yeah, now we can get to boxing. They start going crazy with this exchange. Beru's just watching like, you know what's coming. Oh my god. He's using the shadow soldiers as weapons. Without any guidance, he's already approaching Jinwoo's level, discovering new things about his power. The battle sense that he's shown so far, including his aptitude for ruler's authority, he's just cheesing that shit at all times, attacking him with daggers while he's boxing him. You see he slashed him in his back, then came from the front, just tried to cave bro's chest in. Sends him flying like he's mad innovative with this shit. Bro busts right back out screaming and won. As he's charging at him, Suho activates his ruler's authority again, and they completely surround him as he goes to exchange. And all Beru can do is just watch in awe. Like, damn, this boy is a true prodigy. And it shows that he took him out. So Beru's like, I never doubted you for a second. Come on, bro, stop with the lies. Either way, I learned a new way to fight. This is a decent harvest. He also got a reward for beating him, a new skill called Storm Slash. He can infuse the power of swirling wind into a sword. He tries to just activate it without one, and it just makes like a breeze. He looks around for a weapon that he can use, sees the sword that is the Fang Monarch, and he's not really dead yet, so he's like, oh, bet. Human greed is truly unlimited. The second you pick me up, I'm going to devour your entire body. As he grabs a hold of him, he's unable to do anything, and even he's shocked. But I don't even think he knows what just happened. He's just happy he got a new weapon. It's time to test out my new skill. So he swings the sword with the swirling wind around it. It just slashes the shit out of everything in the way. He's like, oh shit, I can work with this. But Beru's like, hey, you acting way more excited for this when the shadow extraction shit is way more impressive. That's when his teacher starts to wake up and ask what's going on, so he has to snap out of what he's doing. It's gonna take a while for him to explain everything that happened. Now it cuts to the outside of the gate. He just made sure he got out safely because he's about to go back inside. He's just watching like, damn, an E rank? Bro, how strong is he? Well, either way, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is he's saving people. It cuts back to inside the dungeon. Suho's just playing with all his new skills, leveling up. All these monsters are just free XP. But then he says, hold up a second. And he asks the sword, why did your attack power suddenly drop? The Fang Monarch can still communicate with him as the sword. But he says, you really think I'd work with you, the Shadow Monarch's descendant? His special ability is that he does more damage to weaker opponents. Beru says that's such a dirty ability. He asks which hunter in the world hunts something stronger than him. Well, you fought the young monarch and he's significantly stronger than you. He's like, nah, hold up, that's different. Bro's just counting it up. Like, I got a talking insect, a talking sword. Shit is just crazy. But then he walks over to these crystals and finds the path to the ruins where he finds all the dead bodies of the attack force. As he's just standing over them, we finally get a little serious emotion out of this kid. He looks truly mortified by this. The Fang Monarch says, hey, they were intruders. It's literally my job to kill anybody that comes in here. Suho just snatches him and slams him down into the ground like, just shut up for a second. He sees that he can use shadow extraction on the hunters. Beru explains that, hey, as long as it's a corpse, you can turn it into your own soldier. He's about to do what he's thinking, but then he just walks away and starts carrying out his teacher. What, you not about to add some soldiers? And he says, nah, I'm good. They have to fight even when they're dead, that it's basically punishing them. The Fang Monarch has nothing to say, and Beru's just like, damn. I think he gathered all the dead bodies and says, wait a minute, you said this was the Fang Monarch sanctuary, right? Then what was that you said about my father killing him? How all this relates to the Eaterin? Beru says you can just think of the monarchs as past enemies, and there are a total of 9 of them. There's your father, the Shadow Monarch, or the King of the Dead. Then there's the King of Insects, the King of Monstrous Humanoids, the King of Demons, the King of Giants, the Frost Monarch, the Transfiguration Monarch, and the Monarch of Destruction, the King of Dragons. And all 9 of them possess strength that can't be fathomed. When 8 of them invaded Earth at once, they all died by the hands of my liege. And he's like, wait, my dad did that? The sword chimes in saying, yeah, that's right. The Shadow Monarch is my mortal enemy. He killed my master, the Fang Monarch. And if I had my full strength, I'd tear you to pieces and feed you to the wolves. He's like, well, I do understand where you're coming from. He fought the other monarchs to protect the earth. You were just trying to protect this place from invaders. Both sides just made a rational decision to protect what's precious to them. If there was a difference, it'd be you thinking that you must fight me because I'm his descendant. If your duty is to protect this place, then isn't it kind of dumb to have beef with my father, who your fang monarch couldn't even defeat? Well, I can't meet my parents because of these outer universe individuals. But for the sake of doing that, I'll borrow strength from anybody. If the Eaterim invade this place, you won't be spared either. Well, why don't you help me protect everything? He just sits there in silence. He grabs him like, come on, what do you say? The Shadow and Fang fighting on the same battlefront. Then it cuts back over to the real world, and Suho's teacher is at lunch with some people, and they're asking him about everything that happened in the dungeon. He's gonna help Suho in keeping his profile low. The news is spreading about the task force that died, as this guild is scrambling looking for new porters to go into dungeons for them, trying to find some E-rank hunters to recruit. Of course, they stumbled upon somebody who fought in a D-rank dungeon, and they go to contact him immediately, your boy Suho. Then it gets back to him like the same day, or probably the next day, that he rejected the offer, and they're really just shocked that he turned down the job. But he's at home on his phone, seeing he's getting hella offers from everybody after he completed that raid. They all want to hire him as a porter or collector, not as a member of the attack force. So joining a guild would just hinder him in leveling up. So anyways, are we gonna keep talking, Mr. Fang of Rakan? He's still really trying to get him to work alongside him. He's like, what the hell? How could he try and strike a deal so casually, saying I could be an ally instead of an enemy? He does say that he has one condition, being that he takes him to another sacred ground of the Fang monarch. Well, alright, well, do you know how to find one? And he knows where all of them are. I can feel the gate that leads to it is already gone. But what humans call a dungeon break must have happened already. He figures that sacred site must be a field type dungeon, when a dungeon break happens at a neglected gate and the monsters take over the land. He texts Jinho that he's gonna go out for a bit, and they gear up to get active. This is tough. He got Biru on his right and the Fang monarch on his left. It cuts to him outside of this gate. Is this really the place? And he says yes. It's bad because this property is owned by a guild, so it would be trespassing if he goes onto it. He says trespassing is illegal, but this guild just happens to be made up of former criminals, a bunch of people who used to be in gangs. He's like trying to logic his way into breaking his side. Biru's like, bro, don't listen to him, yo. We should just go back and level up in some dungeons. Wait a minute, what are you doing? I'm preparing to go in. And he uses his ruler's authority to crush the camera. See? Now there won't be any evidence. He says you remind me of Jinwoo. As they're walking inside, he's like, are all field dungeons full of blue fog? He explains that it's mana from outer space. It breaks through dimensional walls, causing ruptures in worlds. The Fang Monarch says this fog is the reason that the sacred ground I was on broke through the dimension, got linked to the earth, and the beings in outer space are trying to break a big hole in the dimension to send in their armies. The more mana a being has, the more they are affected by dimensional travel. So it'll take a while before the big guys can get here. Well, if that's the case, might as well hurry and level up. As it shows all these orange named animals, the Fang Monarch is like, hold up, I got this. He says, oh, how dependable. I'm not going to use you as my main weapon. I've already thought of a combat method. I'll use the hand-to-hand combat I learned in the base tutorial, using ruler's authority to attack with you from long range. Then we can constantly just mix shit up. My fighting style isn't predictable. So again, he's just being completely innovative with this shit. At the same time, using the shadows as gauntlets to box with. Well, of course, Biru's glazing. He acknowledges him as the son of the Shadow Monarch. And he's really just seeing firsthand that the Shadow Monarch gets stronger the longer the fight goes on. So it's no wonder that we lost the war against him. And now he can handle 5 soldiers because his intelligence stat went up. Biru's like, bro, this isn't really shit to how much you could be summoning. He punches him on top of the head like, shut the hell up. Just let me have this moment. And they keep walking through the field and looking through the bushes. They find this camp where the sacred ground used to be. But there are still people out here despite it being the middle of the night. He's trying to figure out why are they out here so late. That's when they see this truck pulling up as the gate opens. He's just completely caught off guard as he sees 3 kidnapped people getting taken out of the truck. They're all blindfolded and their hands are tied. And I really hate shit like this. He's like, Biru, am I witnessing a kidnapping right now? Well, it seems so. Since we're trespassing right now, I don't think you should get involved. But before he can even finish his sentence, Suho's already gone. Like his granddad was a firefighter and his dad was a police officer. After growing up in the bloodline of both of these 2 figures, Suho's sense of justice was not gonna let this shit rock, and he just comes from the top rope.